Hello and welcome to Observation, the art of seeing. So what is observation? Well, observation is a tool to teach us to see what the passage is saying. This is where we become a detective and gather the basic information to understand the text. Now, like a detective, we'll be looking at a passage to determine what is happening or what it's about. We would do this before we would go and do any further investigation, which here would be called interpretation. Now, observation is done for a very good reason. It is so we can understand the context of the text to avoid misinterpretation. It's also trying to establish the writer's original intention and discover what the passage says. Now, let's have a little go with the next slide. Now, this is obviously not a Bible passage. So what we're going to do here is we're going to see, what does this picture tell you? What is the intended outcome? What mediums are used? How many different types of pencil are there, etc., etc. So let's have a look first of all. Well, we can see that it's all intended to build some artwork or a painting or something like that. We can see there are watercolors, we can see colored pencils, we can see liner pens, we can see drawing pens, we can see paintbrushes, etc., etc. Now here is where we need to make sure we don't surmise what we're seeing, because when we actually move into interpretation, we will understand that those aren't just colored pencils, they're actually pastel pencils. So when we're looking at a text, we've got to make sure that we are not surmising what the writer is intending, but we actually delve in just to make sure. Now we would actually take all this information and we would put it into our table. So here we are. Now here is page 1 of our table. Yes, there are 2 pages. It's only so we can have lots more room to write in. Now you can see there are 4 columns, and you can see the first, we can see all the setting and all the ideas. We can see repeated or keywords. You can also see a section called Can You See? So this is just ideas of what we can find within the text. Now for every chapter we will be doing the setting. These are known as the 5 W's. That's who wrote it, what's it about, where, so who's it being talked to, when is it, so what period, and why. Now we would write all these answers down in the observation columns. Now you can see there's lots more other ideas there, but we will only do 1 or 2, and for each chapter or for each section of scripture that we will do, I will highlight which ones we're going to be looking at. But when we get further on, I won't do that, because you'll be so professional at this, you'll be fine. So here is page 2, a few more ideas there. Now also you can see at the bottom there are 2 boxes, one's for questions and one's for answers. Now as we do observation, I'm sure we're going to find some questions, so we'll just jot them in there, and when we get to interpretation and application, we'll have a look and find the answers. Now, so we are going to begin our study in the book of 1 John, and we are going to start with 1 John chapter 1 verses 1 through 4. Now you can see here that I've printed it out so it's much clearer for the video. I normally just use my Bible, there being many on the market now with wide margins to write in. I will be using the NASB throughout, as between the NASB and the New King James Version, these are the more literal in their translations in regards to the original Greek or Hebrew. Yes, I said Greek and Hebrew, don't worry. We will be looking them up. I will show you how to do it. And I think you'll actually be quite excited on all the information that you're going to find. Now, when we're actually marking all this up, you can use different color pens or just one pen. Just use what works for you. So anyway, come and join me now and let's get going with our first observation study.